Welcome, Carrie Sawyer Casey, and welcome, County Executive Matt Meyer. And you two are kind of a dynamic duo now with this new project that is really getting a lot of public attention. How about let's begin with how the county acquired the former Sheraton Hotel.
Well, thanks, Sharon. It's great to be here, and with Carrie, who I said it when we cut the ribbon that I think there are a few people in this state that have connections to the White House, and her and Nicole Waters. There are no public servants like them. They've been working round the clock for the past 4.5, 5 months, 24/7, to make sure this is a successful investment for the people of the county, that it really addresses the dignity of people. So I just wanted to, I know that's not what you asked, I just wanted to start off with that. I think the genesis of this, it really was a combination of two things. One is Carrie's work in homelessness and her team's work in affordable housing for years, and recognizing really for years that there was a decreasing supply of transitional, low barrier, no barrier housing, homeless shelters. There was a limited homeless shelter space. You might remember RVRC in Wilmington, the Rick Van Story Center 2 or 3 years ago, shut its doors, which I know really impacted Carrie's work a lot, and she really brought it to my attention. We even went down there one day right before it closed. So
Matt, this was a great idea, waiting for a property?
Well, I think it was a number of things. We didn't have the resources to do it. Once the pandemic hit, one of our first concerns was, how do we protect the most vulnerable? We put together a task force that Carrie helped lead to address just that. I was bugging Carrie constantly, like, can we use this at crisis as an opportunity to solve some long-term problems in affordable housing and homelessness? And Carrie and her team looked around the country, saw this as a great model, and then did all the magic to make it happen.
And I'll be the candid one. Millions of people, or Delawareans, drove by that property for years thinking, was it just sitting there for what? Couldn't something be done with it? And what a wonderful something. Yeah. Can you describe the physical setup? I've heard a lot of people wondering about that. Bedrooms, meals, how does it work?
Well, it's a 192 room hotel. So thanks for having me too, by the way. It's a 192 room hotel. Right now, we have about 185 rooms available for people to sleep. Each family, if it's a single person, if it's a couple, or if it's a family, they get their own room. So it's not like we put 2 single people in one room. We not just because of COVID, but we feel like it's the right thing to do. When someone comes here through our intake system, they're given their own space with their own bathroom.
And Carrie, if I may interrupt, and Matt, who's doing the intake for you?
Well, the way that it works is that we're part of the homeless coordinated entry system.
Right.
So if someone's experiencing homelessness, they call that 1-833 Find Bed. They can call, they can text, they can go to a state service center. And if there is no shelter space available, because a lot of our shelters, our congregate shelters, are at reduced capacity, or if the person is over 65 or they have an underlying health condition, they're referred to the state service center for a motel voucher. So we are one of those hotels where a person might be referred to. And so that's how it works externally. Once that family or person is referred here, Friendship House is our social service provider. And just to really make the point of how COVID kind of brings people together, Friendship House has always operated in their own silo. They didn't want to take federal, state, public funding. They did their thing. They kind of wanted to do their thing without us being involved. And Friendship House really recognizing the dire situation we were facing this winter, came to us and said, we want to be part of whatever solution you all are looking for as we go into winter. So they became our social service partner. So families then, when they come into the Hope Center, Friendship House takes them kind of under their wing, sits with them, goes through the code of conduct. Now we've kind of morphed into more of a guest agreement. They give them the lay of the land about meals, the curfew, the bus tickets, the transportation situation. And then they are handed their key to their room by the actual hotel, which manages like the operations of the day-to-day operations, the housekeeping, maintenance, engineering, and then the inventory of rooms is done by the hotel management.
You know, for some of these people, they must think they've died and gone to heaven. Over the years, we've covered a lot of shelters and a lot of stories on homeless people, and they are horror stories, many of them.
Right.
So this must be such an enormous blessing for people.
It is an enormous blessing in many ways, and I know the physical space is beautiful. It is, however, isolating to be alone in a room. You know, we don't allow people to congregate in the lobby. We don't, you know, so it's still, you know, I guess it's kind of putting my initial expectations, oh, this is such a beautiful place, everybody's going to be so happy here. It's still very isolating. And I feel truly that it is the physical space, but it's the staff from the Friendship House to the hotel management to security that's been kind of trained in de-escalation, even the county staff. We have a mental health clinic here. Dr. Gibney is here, Christiana Care is here. So it's the dignity that people receive, I think, that makes it more of a special place. I mean, I really, truly believe this place is special, but not just because of the physical space, but because of the actual interaction with the person, and the dignity and the respect they're given as they enter this location, which I think makes it truly special.
This deserves an hour because I had so many more questions on the list, like, you know, people with addiction, people with mental health issues, all of the things that afflict the homeless, but some of them are just plain down on their luck. What about families with children? What about kids? Am I to understand at one point you had 60 children there?
We have 86 children here currently.
Wow.
And we are able, about 218, 220. So
what do you do with them? Must they stay in a bedroom with the parents? Is there a play area, or is it still set up like a hotel with televisions in each room? And wow.
Yeah, everybody gets I mean, you have your hotel room, you have internet access because a lot of virtual learning. You have TVs. It's been, you know, last week was our first kind of nice week of weather. So we have a basketball court, net outside. We have basketballs you can use and go outside. We started a walking club. So our first task was how many laps to a mile. We just started that last week. But we do not, I mean, really, we're going to work to get some on-site babysitting. So kind of like the YMCA where you can drop your kid off for an hour or two, but you have to stay in the building. Because we have a lot of moms that are really very stressed out. You know, they've been through trauma. They, you know, are now in a hotel room with, you know, 3 to 4 children. They are, you know, trying to make appointments for employment and mental health. I mean, it's just too much.
Sure it is.
And you know, we had a young lady who has 4 boys under 6. And we had to take the safety latches off the doors because in case we needed to get in, we had to put her safety latch back on because she couldn't, the minute she looked away, the 2-year-old was running out, actually found his way to the lobby from the 6th floor. So, you know, some of our moms are really struggling. So,
I'm sure you're feeling your way. I mean, it's very new.
Yes.
But do you see this as sustainable, as being sort of a permanent solution for some people who require temporary housing? That's question 1. Question 2 is, how long can people stay? Who wants to take that?
So let me first say that the funding we used for this was CARES Act COVID funding. And by the definition of the funding, and also my instructions to Carrie and Nicole at the center, was first and foremost, we want to make this a safe place during a dangerous time. There are
Sure.
concerns, of course, we can't have people living there for many months or many years, right? Of course, we don't want people to get comfortable and treat it like their home forever. But we'll worry about that later. In the first place, we wanted to make sure that people under threat, either directly because of health risk related to COVID, or indirectly because limits on shelter space, because libraries and cafes, places where many people experiencing homelessness, and indigent people spend time during the day, because all those places are closed. The cold was coming in December. Our goal when we acquired it December 1st was to get this thing open as quickly as possible. And
Sure.
thanks to Carrie and Nicole and her team, it was open within 2 weeks. So once it's open and now it's operating and it's not quite at capacity, but it's getting closer and closer to capacity. The question starts, okay, how do we sustain this? What do we want the experience to be here? We've already had people start to move out. They come in, it's truly transitional. And Carrie can talk a little bit about some of the wraparound services we've provided, including housing placement, permanent shelter placement.
And Carrie, having worked many times with domestic violence victims and in fact, the first documentary I remember ever doing, I had to be blindfolded and driven to a shelter for domestic violence victims. So I wouldn't be able to ever tell anybody where it was. And what about safety there?
Well, we have, one of the things that we were able to use the CARES Act money to do was to upgrade our security system. This is a huge building with a lot of entrances and exits and stairwells. When we first got on site, we knew that we had to reinvent our security system. So we now have all of the exits and entrances secured, alarmed. We have panic buttons on each floor. We have 68 cameras, which, and we employ 2 full-time, 24 hours a day unarmed security officers. So your key to your room only gets you to your floor and to your room. If you go out into a stairwell, the only way out is outside. So we aren't, we were able to have that system fully functioning by December 31st. But again, as the county executive said, we didn't want to have an empty building and it was winter and we were waiting for the final, wiring of a security system. So on December 15th, when we opened, we had an extra security person. We actually had to put some plywood up, which was really, didn't look the best, but that back to make sure people weren't getting in through our back patio. And once that security system was in place, we felt more comfortable. Now, that security is one thing. The second piece is we have a lot of staff here. Hotel staff is here 24 hours a day. Friendship House staff is here 24 hours a day. We have during the day we've actually started a volunteer program. So we have a lot of eyes on the building. We have a lot, one piece of it is wellness checks that are done in the morning when we give out coffee, and then at 11
That's
we
really
give out
terrific.
meals.
That
So
is just fantastic.
So it's not like, we feel security, but we also have a lot of people kind of taking care of folks, which I think is a better way of then, walking around with security personnel all the time.
Sure. How can the community help you and support you? What do you guys need?
Well, the main thing we need, we did form a nonprofit, Newcastle County or NCC Hope Center Inc.com. And we are, actively fundraising to support our operations. We also have a volunteer program through Newcastle County. This is it's a big building. You can socially distance. We require masks. So we feel it's really wonderful to start having volunteers come in, because one person can go with one Friendship House staff, deliver the meals, the coffee. I even have my daughter come on a Sunday and do it.
Where do they eat, Alice? There's a restaurant. Alice, gosh, Carrie. You look so much like your mother. You really do.
I know. Because of COVID, we deliver the meals to their rooms, and everyone has a refrigerator and a microwave. We don't allow congregating downstairs. Right. We hope to someday get the kitchen up and running and have a full, area for people to eat. But because of COVID, and really, we had to be very careful. We don't want people congregating, so those meals are delivered to their rooms. But it's also an opportunity for me to check in on you. You know, I knock on the door, Mr. Johnson, here's your meal. If you're not there, we make a mark. We didn't see Mr. Johnson at meal delivery.
Mhm.
If it 24 hours goes by, we'll actually go in and make sure you're okay.
Sure.
Um,
People
yeah.
don't realize what it takes to
Yeah.
offer this kind of service, all that goes into it. And Matt, final question for you. I know there were models, other states, a couple of other states, maybe California, had done something similar. Can you talk about
Minnesota.
that?
There were several, and when Carrie first came to me to talk, I asked her what's going on around the country, and she did an amazing job, not just like Google search, researching, but if you know anything about Carrie Casey, she within a matter of minutes was on the phone with people running these things. So when she came and briefed me, she could tell me the things that were working and the things that weren't working. And here are the things from day one that we really needed to do, that everybody else was doing, and here are the things we needed to do that everybody else wasn't doing. And it was really helpful. I really had a lot of comfort from day one. We not only were doing this and investing public money in a really smart, dignified way, but we were doing it in a way with like smarter than I felt like anybody else doing this in the country. And I think it's if you go there, her hard work and the hard work of the team and Friendship House and HHM, who's our hotel operating or our shelter operating partner, you can see the tremendous amount of hard work and care, attention to detail that they've put in so that people, individuals and families don't only have a positive experience while they're there, but we can move them out and give another family an opportunity or individual an opportunity to experience the Hope Center.
And there is transportation, so they can go on job interviews, medical appointments, whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that when we first started, when it was first brought to us, I think a common negative of this property was seen its isolation.
Absolutely.
I think it's actually in the end a positive, because it's giving people an opportunity to be removed from their community, go to a completely different place where they can think about their lives, their world, their problems, issues they're having in a new way, in a new environment, and it's somewhat removed from their day-to-day before they enter the Hope Center.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, we've been talking for 20 minutes, and these are supposed to be 10-minute programs, but can I get you back? We'll have an update at some point.
Anytime.
All righty, good.
Yeah, thank you for your interest. We really appreciate it.
We really appreciate what you're doing, Sharon, educating the community about this and other things across our community.
My pleasure. And stand by after we stop. Thank you so much, Carrie Sawyer Casey and County Executive Matt Meyer.